Hello and welcome back, everyone. Happy spring. I'm excited to be chatting with some of the members of the Arcadia Vale Public School leadership team today. We're going to dive into how they successfully help their students shift from not understanding learning intentions and success criteria to truly grasping them. First up, we have Daniel Morgan, the proud principal of Arcadia Vale Public School, a vibrant learning community built on high expectations and strong relationships. A father of three, he brings a global perspective to education, having taught in the UK for a decade before returning to Australia. He is passionate about creating opportunities for every student to thrive academically, socially, and emotionally. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
We have Alana Leggett. Alana is the assistant principal at Arcadia Vale Public School, APCNI, sorry, where she leads curriculum and instruction to create engaging, inclusive learning experiences. A mother of two, she is passionate about fostering student growth, building strong relationships, and empowering teachers. She collaborates closely with colleagues to strengthen professional practice and ensures every student has the opportunity to thrive. Welcome, Alana.
Thank you.
And Jeremy Ford. He has been teaching since 2018 with a background in special education and experience across all year levels. As the assistant principal, he leads maths across the school, focusing on explicit teaching to strengthen student learning. Welcome, Jeremy. So let's jump straight in. Before learning intentions and success criteria became a focus, what were you noticing from your students about their understanding of LISC?
Yeah, I'll take the lead on this one, Steffi. So this has been like a journey that we've actually been on for about 4 to 5 years. So it's kind of started when we were part of a network initiative that Maya Dell actually arranged. And we were focusing on reading comprehension back then. So we wanted LISCs. We didn't really have a deep understanding of LISCs, but what we did was we tried to, and it was a little bit prescribed in a way, but we essentially basically said everyone has to have a LISC, a learning intention and success criteria. It has to be on the slides. It was a very narrow focus that we were trying to improve. So we were looking at connecting ideas, literal and inferential comprehension. And what we did was we actually seen a really big impact and growth in our students' reading comprehension
Hmm.
strategies, which was fantastic. They were knowing what they were learning. We were doing kind of little chants and things like that to enhance their understanding of the LISC. Then fast forward probably a year or two, and we got into instructional rounds with you. And we just assumed that, oh, we've done lists. Lists will be present across the board in every single lesson,
Hmm.
and and we can focus on a different problem of practice. And I think initially it was how are our students communicating like mathematicians? And what happened during those instructional rounds was not, I'll be honest, not great. We went into multiple different classrooms, and what we quickly identified was that the students weren't able to articulate what they were learning, and this was with a maths focus, but also, which was a little bit more concerning for us, was that we weren't 100% sure that the teachers knew what they wanted the students to achieve by the end of the lesson. So that's where we were at. Students identified success as actually completing a task as opposed to, skill development
Hmm.
or mastery. And they weren't able to provide any clarity around what they were learning. So that's what it kind of looked like before then.
Hmm.
And we identified that through instructional rounds. We had identified that through other systems that we've got in place. So it wasn't ideal. Do you want to add on to that, guys?
It was more just jumping back to when we first brought in Lisk, and I was on class, so it was Alana and Dan that were putting me through my paces in early journey of Lisk, but it was more around the think alouds that also went with the list. So teachers articulating what their idea of success or what they wanted out of the lesson. It was still very surface level, but it was still very present. So that was the main thing, was to make sure that it was present in our lesson. Students were able to refer to it throughout. But definitely as we went further on in our journey, we were able to unlock all the facets of a LISC and really the impact of what they do, especially in terms of student articulation of how they have been or will be successful within a lesson.
No, that's great. And I've chosen your school in particular because I have seen the journey you have been on. I have seen after a year of what you were doing as a school, the shift in how your students were able to actually articulate what they were learning. And in all classrooms, consistently, there was this student-friendly LISC. So I think a lot of schools can relate to your journey. I've heard leaders even say to me from schools, oh, we don't really believe in LISC, or teachers say we only put it up when the principal is doing a learning walk or walkthrough. And I really wanted to kind of go deep with LISC with you guys today because you have been successful with it. And I want to fast forward now and ask you, what does effective LISC look like at AVPS? What are you seeing from students that show it's actually working?
Yeah, so I'm going to take this one. There's been a lot of work in that quick fast forward that we've just jumped to. So Alana, Dan, myself have done a lot of upskilling, a lot of PL, a lot of resource building for staff to then have that knock-on effect for students. So the expectations and what we see at Arcadia Vale is that they're clear. The learning goals, the success criteria are embedded into every lesson. They're visible throughout, so they can be referred back to at multiple points throughout our lesson. Since we've jumped forward, we are in our maths focus. So a lot of our work that we've done in our planning of our lists, our collaboration, have been in a maths scenario. We're now at the stage where teachers are revoicing and rewording lists on the go. So students are interacting with the success criteria and putting their own flair or their own vocab to help them unlock that potential within the list. So that's been really cool to observe, and that's happened naturally. We haven't said that you need to be co-constructing with your students. That's happened progressively from our staff. So that's amazing in itself. Students can articulate what they're learning, but also why they're learning it. They can also identify at what part of the lesson they have been successful, because essentially the success criteria is a scaffold. So at the end of the lesson in your plowback, if you're going through, students can articulate where they were successful within a lesson, but then also if they didn't quite get to all of it, they can see where their next jump off point is. But they're still experiencing that success through the success criteria. The main thing that we made very clear and consistent is the rewording of lists. So we engage in programs that have pre-done lists. Obviously, they're not done for our context. So our staff, we've worked really hard in building that capacity with our staff to be able to rewrite our lists to cater to our students as a whole. And that came with a change of vocab as well. So the learning intention is I will, so they know they're going to nail it by the end of it. And then our success criteria is that I can. So every one of those starts with those sentence stems, and that's been a really big pivot for our students as well.
Oh,
I,
wow.
I'll go back to what you were just saying before, and valuing LISC is extremely important. So we had to make sure that the staff understood the why as well, and why this is important for us to focus on. And instructional rounds definitely did kind of flag that as a definite objective that we needed to do for our staff, because if they didn't actually place any value on the effectiveness of a LISC, or the knowing actually what they wanted to achieve by the end of the lesson, then there was no starting point. So really getting everyone on board and understanding the research behind LISC, and that basically it's going to feed into everything that we do in the future. Because at the moment our focus is effective questioning, but without an effective LISC, you can't do effective questioning. So it's really important to put them foundations in place so that the staff are all on board.
I think that perspective is really interesting to me, seeing so many different ways schools are trying to implement LISC and the struggles schools face in helping teachers see the value of LISC beyond that surface level. Jeremy, I really liked how you said success criteria is a scaffold. So getting students really interacting with it, making it like a tool that students engage with is
Yeah.
key to this whole process. And to hear that students naturally, organically, your teacher started to co-construct that with the students is amazing to hear, because we
Well,
know when they're part of that.
that's
Yeah.
actually fine. Like they're seeing the value of what's been put in front of them. It's
Mm,
it's a tool to assist them. And
mm,
now because we are going down our effective questioning route, we're really trying to unlock the list so it's not just surface level or checklist either. So our questions we're planning directly towards our list are to unlock that deeper thinking and that understanding. So not just a, yes, I've done that. Yes, I've done that. This is what I need to do next. But that was our jump off
Which
point.
that's where we were looking at it like a checklist, and now it's evolving and it will continue to evolve.
yeah. I like that too, Jeremy. Unlock the list. I think you just named the newsletter.
Headline.
Okay, so I think too, hearing from your perspective as leaders, if you can weave in anything that you feel like from a leadership perspective, help your teachers to make that shift. I think leaders watching will really want to know, what is it? How did you help them? How did you build the teachers' capacity to tweak those lists in their current programs? Anything like that, please share with us. Jeremy, you already started saying how you're starting to develop and create lists with teachers and students. You have the I will, the I can, that expectations. Is there anything else you want to add? Is there an AVPS way of developing and creating lists with
Yeah,
teachers?
Alana,
There's-
she's going to jump in.
There is definitely an AVPS way. So like Daniel mentioned right at the start, how we were part of the network guided initiative that was led by Fiona Welsh. We have got a lot of processes and systems that have been evolving over the years. One of our biggest ones where we get a lot of our data from is our document analysis and our structured observations. So Jeremy and I go into the classrooms, we observe the teachers, they know we're coming in, we've got set times that we go in and observe the lesson, but we have set criterias that we are looking for in that time. Also with the document analysis, this is where we really look at the planning side of things. So Jeremy mentioned about the list that we're planning, effective questioning, linking to the list. That's something that's new in our criteria that we're really working on at the moment. So making the teachers accountable for their planning, but not just picking up plans and teaching from them. They really need to have that understanding of what are they wanting their students to learn. And the success criteria is how the students know what they're going to learn and how they're going to learn. So we do the document analysis and structured observations. And then through that, we also do other processes and systems like learning walks. We give the opportunity for teachers to have a pre-discussion with their partner. They get to go in and watch the teacher do their lesson, and then they do a post conversation as well and have that feedback, that collegial feedback to support each other, but also to keep each other accountable as well in their teaching, and with the delivery of and developing lists and making sure that they're not just straight from a plan, that they've been unpacked, they're student friendly, they're in the context for their class. We also do a lot of PL workshops where only just recently we've done a PL that the teachers shared their planning and they got to swap with the teacher for 20 minutes and they needed to recreate the list. They had to come up with effective questioning linking to that list. Then they had to go through a few other planning, going through a planning framework. But that was one of the items involved in that was the list was just developing the list and then also having the effective questioning that was linking to that as well. So it was a great opportunity. We got lots of feedback from the staff that they really enjoyed the collaborative. So that was fantastic to get that feedback. And also Daniel mentioned when with the department had list rubrics, that was something that he helped facilitate, do that as well with the staff, going through what is an effective list and what a good one looks like and what an even better one looks like.
Yeah, so we actually use that rubric to, initially we used it to assess whether it was ACE or whether it was the units. We actually use the rubric to assess the success criteria and the learning intention. And and that was something you shared, Steffi. So I don't know if you want to put any links to that, but that was a great tool because effectively we would be able to. It was like the school excellence framework for LISCs, and we were going, well, we think this one's really rubbish,
Yeah.
but we were able to really unpack it and collaborate and develop a better one for the actual lesson. So that was really powerful. We do lots and lots of collaboration. These guys are phenomenal. And it's been through learning through you, like we really look at research base before we get in and basically just use the expertise in our room
Mm.
to enhance things. So Alana was saying the pre and the post talk, they're literally during the pre-talk for their learning walks, they're literally looking at the list and they're giving feedback before they even do the lesson and saying,
Mm.
I think you could enhance this by this, or so it's been a real journey of vulnerability and creating a safe space for people to be just giving radical candor and constant feedback to each other.
Mm.
And that's where we're getting the biggest bang for our buck, because our staff are able to basically tell each other what they think.
It's essentially trying to cram quality into an hour, and it's not even an hour when you get stuck into it. So making it really relevant and giving, especially recently, we've been doing a lot of collaboration because that's been the feedback from the staff. The staff actually chose our focus for this term as well through an activity that you have done at one of the IRs that we've been to. So they told us the direction, which was effective questioning. So we have allowed the experts in the room, the people that have the boots on the ground every day, to lead that, we plan, and just assist that collaboration.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. You've got all the one-liners today, Jeremy.
It's like I have a coaching guide somewhere.
And I swear I'm not paying them to say this stuff. But the word you keep saying as a team is collaboration. And that's what your teachers value. That's clearly what you value as leaders. And I think to me, that's one of the keys in how you've been so successful with this. And giving your teachers ownership about the next steps for you as a school to focus on questioning, again, amazing. And then making those connections with effective questioning and LISC, so you haven't forgotten that learning. These are all keys that I hope leaders and teachers you're listening to right now, because this is the gold.
Exactly. Like one of the things, and Alana touched on it, the structured obs in the document analysis, and we do have set criteria, and it's narrow on what we're focusing on, but seeing that evolve over time, because you might go in and just say, I'm going to do a list observation, that's fine. Oh, yep, you had a list, tick. But the criteria has evolved as we've grown. So initially, the criteria was, do they have a list?
Is there one?
Is there a list?
Visible, explicit.
Tick.
Yeah.
But that's how basic it was. Like we were at the start of our journey, but then as it's evolved, it's got, are they engaging with the list?
How many times do they bounce back to the list?
Yeah.
Are the students able to articulate and engage with the list? And so as it progressively gets further and further on, and now it's, are they using effective questioning to support student engagement with the list? So the criteria that we're looking for continuously evolves and gets, I don't know, for want of a better, more robust, nuanced on what we're actually looking for. And we share that with the staff, so they actually know what we're looking for.
Yeah.
And we've seen the improvement.
Well, clearly you have the systems in place, and you are showing to your teachers that this is what is extremely important, LISC. That's what we're looking for, but you're giving them the support to be able to be successful with it, through reflecting on the DOE LISC rubrics or waggles, or sharing programs with each other and recreating the LISC. Do you ever get teachers who eye roll and think, oh, not LISC again? Or did you get that in the beginning? And if so, what tips do you have for schools who go, oh, I don't want to do, I do.
I think
Did I do it in the beginning? Did I give you
No.
a
It was you, Jeremy.
Oh, I roll. I think it is about getting staff to understand the value. So there has to be research and evidence base behind it. And the
Okay.
quality of the PL is extremely important. And that's where we've moved our model away from a almost like a chalk and talk to
Mm.
and it's like I am giving you like these constant praises.
She's not paying us.
I know. But we're moved away from we know everything, do what we're saying, to
Mm.
you guys are the ones that are doing this every day. Let's work together.
Mm.
And it's enhanced our PL no end.
Yep.
So that's how we've got the buy-in,
Mm.
but research is just as important at the
Mm.
start. So
No, that sounds brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think a lot of the viewers would like to know, how do you ensure that your LISC is inclusive, responsive, and differentiated for all of your learners?
Yeah, I think so. Our success criteria essentially, there's many jump in points as well. So it is scaffolded. It addresses all learners within the classroom. And like I said prior, in the plowback, they can see exactly where they were successful within that lesson. So there's multiple jump in and off points in terms of what success looks like for the individual. I think that's been really impactful in that turn of planning the success criteria to really have your support kids all the way up to our HPGE extension kids. So they can still use that same success criteria, but have different jump in points. We've even got at the point now where teachers are ad-libbing. So if they've got their success criteria up on the screen and they can see that they might need an additional extension success criteria, they'll put one up. Or if they're looking at it going, oh, I could probably scaffold that a little bit tighter, they might put another entry point for their support students that are still with them in that release part of the lesson.
Mm.
So that making them fluid and making them adjustable and pivot, lots of pivot points in our lessons that they can go and actually adjust the success criteria based on the need that's in the classroom and the response and the data that they're collecting on the fly.
Mm.
In our last IR observation, one of the comments were, you had two teachers in one of the rooms, but it wasn't two teachers, it was one of our SLSOs. So the staff here and the drive that they have themselves. So we're very fortunate. We have excellent SLSOs here, but I think culture produces culture as well. And they attend PLs. So they come to all of our sessions that we're collaborating. They're included in the conversation. They're contributing to the conversation. And that's why in that observation, it seemed like we had two teachers in the room is because they've volunteered that time themselves to come and upskill their capacity to support their children. So there's that buy-in. I think we do a really good job. And being in a smaller school, we're very lucky to do this. We are growing though,
yes,
like a lot. Enrollments through the roof, which is great. Enroll at Arcadia. Plenty. People.
Limited spots, out
Right.
of area.
Yeah, out of area, limited spots. I think we do a really good job of knowing our students. So not just our students academically, but our students, their whole picture. We have lots of families that are here. We understand what's happening in the background. We understand what kind of baggage they might be bringing. We've got so many programs for well-being that allow us to have this sort of information. So when we are planning our lessons and our lists, we have that in mind as well. So we're not going to give them something that is unachievable. We're going to make sure that everybody is catered for within that lesson. And when Alana and I do our boots on the ground, we go in and we see these lessons in progress. You can see each one of the kids accessing the success criteria at their scaffolded level. But then you've also got the kids that are challenging themselves because it's there in front of them and they're exposed to it.
I don't also, so we've got a support unit. We've got 3 MC classes, and if you walked into one of our MC classes, you would think that it's run almost as a mainstream class would be. Obviously, higher levels of support and differentiation, but we haven't structured a way so that in a way where support does this and mainstream classes you're going to do this. Our PL is combined. And our support teachers are collaborating with our mainstream teachers. If they're doing learning walks, they might be doing them in a support class or across mainstream classes. It's all integrated and interwoven. So, really we're really big on inclusivity. You know, even almost like lesson structures are quite consistent across support and mainstream. So we've even got some of our support kids who come in for number talks or math
Integration.
reviews and things like that, so that they're still experiencing, you know, high levels of support, but where they can be extended, you know, we're pushing them to their ZPD.
We also use student voice a lot too. So if the students are articulating that they don't quite understand it or they're fallen off, then there's another pivot point that our teachers are able to negotiate and get through.
Another idea.
Oh,
We're working on hinge questions as well. So that's that's one of our focus, that we're doing effective questioning, but hinge questions is something we've been looking at the moment, and that is for the teachers to really identify, am I ready to go to the next, or do I need to pivot back, reassess the learning intention, or go back and enhance what I've actually done to make sure that they're actually ready to move on to the next section. So,
but coming back to LISC, that's where it starts from, because we want the teachers to be able to go, by the end of this lesson, I want my kids to be able to, or you will. So there's that effective planning of our LISC as well.
And it's also the teachers have that autonomy now.
Yeah.
Before, a few of them were saying, oh, can we do that? Can we pivot and stop and revisit, or do we just keep going along with it? But now, yep, no, with the hinge, if they're not getting it, then you need to go back and reteach. Don't keep moving.
Well, I can hear so many great things. Your LISC is scaffolded. You said, Jeremy, ad-libbing, adjustable, based on the students' needs. It's showing how responsive your teachers are, especially with those hinge questions. If my kids get it, then I need to change this up. Or if there's a success criteria element that I didn't think of and this student identified it in this exemplar, yes, let's add it. You know, so that's great. And getting to know your students and their needs, I think it always comes back to that.
I think it's more pertinent now than ever, because obviously back in my day, no, but honestly, we had to write our lessons from scratch. So you are literally writing your lesson for the children that are in front of you every single day. And now, which is fantastic, we have all these available resources and programs and things available for us at the drop of a hat. And the LISC is written. So it's so easy just to go, there's already a LISC. The program hasn't been written for your kids. And this is what I keep on saying to my staff is, you've got to make sure that what you're teaching is designed for those kids. So it starts with the LISC.
Starts with the LISC. I love it. So a lot of teachers watching will want to know, how do you display LISC and get your students actively engaging with it?
Yes, so how we display them is we have our resource that's being created by the teachers. So on the slides, we have our LISC and the learning intention success criteria on the slide, so they're visible. So that's a whole school consistency, and it's an expectation that our teachers do that. But then they also have the flexibility if they would like to display them elsewhere in their classroom. So some write them on their caboodle, some will have it printed and popped up on their whiteboard. I think that's the main, they either write it on their whiteboards or have it printed. So there's a few different variations in the classrooms how they choose to do it, but it is a whole school consistent expectation that they do have them in their resource, especially when we do those document analysis, that we can see that it's visible in each of the lessons. So that's how it is presented in the classroom. In terms of the engagement, again, like Daniel and Jeremy have been saying, is that it's been evolving over the last few years on the engagement. So our LISC was very much, it's just visible, it's explicit. Now we're moving into how are we getting our students engaged into the LISC? And that's where our effective questioning has linked in. They need to be planning their effective questions, linking to the LISC for students to be able to justify how they've been successful. So engagement is a really big thing for us in terms of our students. It could be chanting, it could be, what else is there in terms of
revoicing?
Yeah, revoicing.
Choral read.
Teachers will present the LISC, but then get the students to reword it in their own words on whiteboards. So there's lots of different techniques and strategies that they're using.
Yeah, and when it was first introduced, when I was on class, I would get the kids to write down 3 of the success criteria on their whiteboard, so it was there in front of them for the lesson. But now, as more teachers come in, get exposed, we've got new crops of teachers that have amazing ideas of engagement through lists. Some are using Kahoots as an example to see where they're at in their success criteria. So the engagement has evolved since we first introduced it as well.
With everything that we do here, it's all about pedagogy and capacity. So it's not so much as stipulating this is exactly how you have to do it, but we, through the structured obs, we might observe that one teacher is really good at presenting it at the start of the lesson, but doesn't engage with it later on. So when they do their learning walk, we'll target another teacher who is really good at engaging with the list the entire lesson, so that they're observing their peers and they're picking that up, and then having that conversation at the end of lessons, and then we're still doing extra one-to-ones in terms of giving the teachers a little bit more release, and they work with the APCIs, and we're cognizant of all the areas of development for the teachers. So that's where them conversations happen, because that doesn't happen by osmosis.
Oh, and teachers don't know if they don't get some kind of feedback or have that conversation. So, yeah.
Yep.
Do you want to add something, Jeremy? I saw your face.
I did kind of, but now I've lost where I was.
I think
Enroll at Arcadia Vale.
Yeah.
the other thing was the continual referring back to the list.
Yeah.
That was something that we had spoken about with that engaging. We're continually referring back. And again, with the learning walks, we can strategically plan if we know a teacher's continually doing that and referring back to the learning intention success criteria throughout the lesson, then we might link them up with another teacher who may not be doing that as much. So we are very strategic when we do plan our learning walks as well.
That's what I was saying. It was in our learning walk, when we give our sheet for our feedback, there is a scaffold on there as well. And one of the things is engagement in LISC. So they're giving the effective feedback to their peer themselves around how many times it was either spoken about, how many times the student engaged with it, how many times the teacher engaged with it. So on our learning walk performer, LISC is engagement in LISC is one of our things that they talk about.
Would you be willing to share that learning walk pro forma? And if you say no, it's not going to look good. So.
Share anything.
Yeah.
You share, we share.
That's it. Of course.
And also, any of you said the variations of LISCs in the classrooms. Could we get a few kind of different photos from real classrooms, including your beautiful MC classrooms, maybe? I think people want to, they feel inspired, but they want to see, what does this actually look like? Would that be okay?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Hopefully we're inspiring.
Oh, yes. And my last question, and Alana, you started to touch on this already, but what expectations do you have for teachers around LISC, and how do you balance that with teacher creativity and autonomy?
Jumping in.
Um,
Three of us.
Yeah, I think we'll all cover this. So as we've kind of I just alluded to, PL and capacity is our primary focus always. That's what we're always trying to focus on in terms of developing our teachers, and we hope that the results will speak for themselves. So in regards to creativity and autonomy, it's about getting the teachers to the standard where they feel confident and they feel supported in being able to make changes on the fly, working collaboratively. We've really focused on that vulnerability and making sure that we feel safe and nurtured in our environment, so that when we're actually doing the collaborative piece, people are you just say what you think. If it's wrong, that's fine. If it's right, like, people just take that on board and they're developing these things. And that I get put on this. Jeremy this morning put me in a group, and I'm having to come up with lessons, and I'm having to present what our group would do for a lesson.
Back in my day.
but it's really important for the staff to see that and for us to work together. So we don't necessarily say you have to do it this way. We don't have the APCIs writing the LISC they're not the ones in the classroom. It's down to the teachers to really understand the children in their class and what they want to achieve by the lesson, but by the end of the lesson. But it's really about having those high expectations and knowing your kids and then I mean we're a little bit further on than LISC now, but now it's how do we enhance the LISC with all the other aspects, and we only ever go narrow and deep on things. So we're doing effective questioning at the moment.
Mm.
The next one that staff have identified is already effective feedback,
Mhm.
but we just can't keep on just throwing different PL things out there. So we're just focusing on effective questioning at the moment, and that's how we're getting that buy-in, that autonomy. The teachers have ownership over it because they get to have their say. We're just giving them the tools to do it.
I think it's the confidence in the lesson as well. So if you've gone through your content and you know your lesson in and out, then you're going to be able to write a really effective LISC. And if you're sticking to that, then that's your blueprint. So you don't have to teach from your lesson plan. If you've got your learning intention success criteria that is visible, you know it inside out, you're making those pivots in your lesson as is. It could be a change of concrete materials. We're very big. When we first engaged in EASE, it was death by slides. And very, very quickly we went, absolutely not. Get rid of them. Get the resource in your hand. You are teaching through that. The only expectation was have your list visible. So I don't want to walk in and see you clicking on slides. I want to see your LISC and I want to see you with the material in your hand teaching the kid. So that's where we're at with those LISCs as well. But now that we're still building on that capacity and we're doing really well in terms of when we walk in, we're seeing our staff just doing amazing things. Like it's incredible. Send more people our way to come and watch them because they're phenomenal people.
They are.
And they're great operators. But now they're at the point where they have that capacity that the LISC is just that visual tool now to guide that lesson. So it's not so much the lesson plan, it's the list that they have planned based on the content. So their horizontal knowledge of each side of their stage too is also building. So that helps with the pivot points within their LISC.
And that's what we're all about, pedagogical practice, building the capacity of the teachers. Yeah.
One of the PLs that we did, I don't know if you've mentioned already, when they planned the other person's lesson, I think you did mention that. So we're now at the stage where, and even in our future plans, we're looking at where people might be for next year. So it's not about staying in your silo and planning. It's about collaborating with people so if you're a Year 6 teacher, you're collaborating with the kinder teacher. You're coming up with those ideas together based on your LISC. So it's around a whole capacity build, not just within your stage.
How did they find that? Sorry, can I ask? Because I think people will be interested in how you ran cross stage. So designing each other's LISCs. How did the teachers react to that?
I think about 80% were about, all right, give it a go. Give it a go. We'll do it. But that's because we've been on the journey for quite some time before we threw them, planned somebody else's. But even still, the hesitancy wasn't really there. It was more of a, all right, let me think.
Yeah. And I think it was more so all the time. How much time do we have to have someone else's plan when I'm not on that stage? And I think that was the only question really we got was, oh, how much time do we have to do this? Or what now in this PL session? So, but apart from that, everybody else just opened up the plan, just started doing their amending the plan and rewording it, and then they passed that on to the teacher, and then the teacher was able to then reflect on it, look at the plan, and then use that for their planning for that lesson. So that was really good.
I think PL is if you can get that right, and like I said, I've got a phenomenal team. But if the PL is engaging, if staff are talking to other staff members, they enjoy it 10 times more than listening to a dissertation about learning and intentions and success criteria. So we have a lot of fun in our PL. There's times where, with effective questioning, I've had to act out
scenarios
and completely out of your comfort zone, but the staff love it. So they're loving learning,
Mm.
and we're implementing it. We're really big on staff having, and go back to your question in terms of creativity and autonomy. Staff have their own flavor in their classroom. Everyone's not going to be Jeremy, who is, out there and, I don't know if you can tell, but that's okay
Yes.
because I can learn stuff from Jeremy, but I can also learn stuff from Alana, and everyone has a different way of doing things, and that's okay. But yeah, as long as there's consistency in terms of quality
Yeah.
and expectations, then everyone can have that level of autonomy in their classroom.
Oh, I love it. And everything you say, yes, I agree with. And it is fun at Arcadia Vale, and you do, I feel, celebrate diversity and, celebrating each other's differences and your authentic self. So I agree. Based on like what our conversation today, what would you say would be a good starting point for schools who want to explore LISC, or they realize, yes, we need to spend more time looking at our LISC?
This might lean into set.
Yeah. Look, yeah, I can talk about some, but I think evaluation, and I think it has to be relatively robust evaluation. And the thing that kind of smacked me in the face the first time that we went for instructional rounds was I'm fully going in to expect something different. And when you actually sit there and really analyze, are the other students aware of what they're actually learning, and do the teachers know what they want them to achieve by the end, and is the content, the resources, everything in the lesson geared towards achieving that goal? If that's where you need to kind of do a really robust kind of level of evaluation and understand is it a focus? Because I think without that strong understanding of LISC, you're not going to be able to achieve any of the other, we call it the flower, our explicit teaching flower.
Yep.
You can't do effective questioning because, you might be able to ask good questions, but it's not going to elicit more learning or deeper thinking about what you want to achieve. So evaluation is where I'd start. We're trying to, well, we're not trying, we've established a network of schools, and we're all going to be supporting each other on the same journey. And some of us are still focusing on LISC, some of us are on effective questioning, effective feedback. So we're really looking outside of our gates to enhance what we're doing here, but also to support other schools in their journey. So I think seeing other schools who do things really, really well will help you see the value in some of these aspects, particularly LISC. And if Steffi told you to do it, then it means it's important.
I never tell you to do anything, Daniel.
No, you let me come to that conclusion myself.
Exactly.
Good coaching. Good coaching.
That's what I was going to say. The point at the end there is seeing it in action. So if you're able to facilitate either sending your leaders or an aspiring leader or a champion at your school, if they can go and see it in action, that have really big effects. Because even just from our local learning walks, going into each other's classrooms, that's been our biggest feedback from our staff, is how much they've enjoyed seeing each other teach and picking up things from each other. So to be able to go to another setting or another school or a partner school, that's so powerful in itself.
Exactly right. Well, I want to thank you. So many things stood out to me in this conversation, but it's clear that you've created this culture of learning and success through being such active participants yourselves in the learning, modeling that you too are learners, you're learning, and you're still reflecting and growing your practice. Empowering your teachers through quality, engaging professional learning. You keep bringing that up. Building staff capacity and confidence through seeing it in action, through your conversations and feedback, and building in time for professional learning, for collaboration between teachers and SLSOs, so that everyone sees the value of this work and students see that they're successful in all of this. So go Arcadia Vale Public School. So proud of you and this journey. I knew you were perfect for this element of teaching flower. So thank you so much for sharing your insights.